Hello, how's everyone doing tonight? Um, Something appeared in my news feed the other day, and I thought it would be a good conversation to have. So, Betty Broderick is dead at the age of 78. She's San Diego, one of San Diego's most notorious killers. Her case made headlines, and after it happened, they even invented the phrase "be nice to your ex-wife week." So let's just play this, and we'll.
Broderick, one of San Diego's most notorious killers, has died.
Her case shocked the nation. It made headlines across the globe. It began with an affair, followed by a bitter divorce, and it ended in a brutal murder. The La Jolla socialite was convicted of killing her ex-husband and his new wife nearly 4 decades ago. In 1989, Broderick stole a key from her daughter, snuck into her ex's home, and shot them as they slept. She was sentenced to 2 consecutive terms of 15 years to life in prison. The case was recently adapted into the Netflix series Dirty John, the Betty Broderick story. Broderick was denied parole several times during her sentence. Last month, she was transported to an outside medical facility for a higher level of care. Broderick was 78 years old.
Okay, so you all heard it. Betty Broderick died. She was sentenced to 32 years to life in prison for her role in a double homicide. What she did was she stole her daughter's keys, bought a gun a month before the crime was committed. Her mental health was deteriorating for a long time, and she was denied parole twice. I wonder why. So during her parole hearing, Betty refused to take any responsibility for her crime, lack of remorse, and during the second trial, the jury had a compromise. So the cause of death, they don't know. They're not releasing that AC-9. They're not releasing the cause of death right now. All I know is she was transferred from the prison to a hospital, a local hospital, and she was there for over a month. So the medical examiner hasn't released an autopsy report yet. The prison has ordered one, and so that's we don't know how she died. It was probably due to old age. She was 78 years old. So it started in the fall of 1982 when her ex-husband hired Linda Colcania, a former Delta Airlines flight attendant, as his legal assistant at his new law firm. As early as October of 1983, Betty suspected that her husband, Dan, at the time, was having an affair with Linda. But Dan denied it, gaslit her, the whole 9 yards. So in February of 1985, Dan moved out, took custody of their children, and a long, drawn-out, bitter divorce ensued. Now, Betty claims that because of her husband's prominence, she couldn't get a decent divorce attorney. And her mental health started to deteriorate even further. Outbursts of anger, threatening phone calls to the house. She even drove her car into Dan's front door. One time it was hauled off by police. So there was no real doubt that she's done it. Now she came with an elaborate defense. Her husband left her. She was driven crazy. Messages on the answering machine, ignored numerous restraining orders that forbade her from setting foot on her ex-husband's property. She vandalized his new home, even drove his car into the front door, like I said before. Despite that, some of her children were inside the house at the time. So, on April 22nd, 1989, Dan and Linda were married. Dan had to wear a bulletproof vest to their wedding. And a month before the murders, this was probably in October of 1989, she bought a gun, stole her daughter's keys, drove to the house, used her daughter's key, went in, went upstairs. 5 shots were fired. Now, Linda died instantly. Her ex-husband suffered on the floor, trying to get help or trying to get to the phone. So the murder weapon was a Smith & Wesson revolver. The bullets that were used were designed to kill. And so the psychiatrist at her second trial testified. There's 2 psychiatrists that evaluated her. One said that she suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. The second said she had histrionic personality disorder with narcissistic tendencies. So the first psychiatrist that diagnosed her as narcissistic personality disorder said she had histrionic tendencies. So from what I'm hearing, histrionic personality and narcissistic personality are very similar in nature. And so she was mentally ill. All right. Let's just, there's no doubt about that. She sat there and blamed her ex-husband and everyone else for her actions. And she sat there and got denied parole twice because all she could do was make excuses for her actions. All right. That's all she could do was make excuses. The one parole board member mentioned that she's back in 1989 all over again. And this was a pretty sad ordeal. Hey, Gloria. This was a pretty sad ordeal. When I was growing up, this it made the news. Cross country. She was portrayed as this feminine folk hero. And it spawned 2 Lifetime movies. I watched both of them. There's several documentaries on the case. And what she did, what Betty Broderick did, there was no excuse for. Do I believe that the crime was premeditated? No. All right. The reason why I say this is, in my opinion, she was crazy. All right. She went up. She went to his house, probably to start trouble. And what happened? 2 people ended up dead. Now, I'm not going to sit here and put the whole blame on her. I'm going to tell you why. Supposedly, Dan's family They knew she was crazy. Dan knew she was crazy. They knew she was psycho. And they sat there and antagonized her. All right? They antagonized a mentally ill woman with back and forth letters, and she complained that she never didn't get enough and alimony. But here's the thing. She got more in alimony than most people get, all right? She claimed that, oh, he took the kids. But here's the thing. If a court's going to rule, the ruling is going to be in the best interest of the child. Not Dan Broderick, not Betty Broderick. All right? They're going to find what's in the best interest of the child or the children here. All right? Like it or not, she violated how many restraining orders? A piece of paper from the court. A court order didn't stop her. She thought she portrayed herself as the victim. And my criticism is that one side antagonized her, threatened to take her spousal support if she didn't behave, didn't give her a fair settlement. Her ex-husband gaslit her. He wasn't having an affair, but then surprise made her think that she was the crazy one, thinking that there was an affair. All right. Now, what Betty Broderick did was unexcusable. But I see all these killers out there that get parole over less. All right. They sit there and they cry. They're so sorry. Fake tears even to the parole board. I'm so sorry. But then you see someone like Betty, who is not a threat to society. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy here, all right? She deserved to serve her time. She did life, apparently, since she died on the 8th. I just wish that there would be more awareness towards people like Betty, all right? She was crazy. She probably thought there was nothing wrong with her, which there was. And things spiraled out of control. Now, we just don't antagonize mentally ill people, all right? She obviously had something wrong with her. And she paid the price, all right? She spent the rest of her life in prison. She actually called her daughter Lee right after she did it and confessed. Someone, in my mind, that's someone that's highly erratic. I think the jury at the end came up with the right verdict. Second-degree murder. Because I don't think she was in a mental state where she could actually premeditate a crime. All right, but still, she had to go to prison like anyone else that commits murder, and couldn't even take responsibility for what she did. So there are videos on her mental health and personality. Videos that there's one theory that she did it for the money. But I just think she was an unstable woman who just lost it. All right? It's no excuse. Okay? So maybe this could be a lesson to some people. All right? The movie, the Lifetime movie, if anyone wants to watch it, is A Woman Scorned. There's 2 parts. It's almost 3 hours long. They'll probably air this on TV soon since she's gone. And Betty loved attention for some reason. Always sent letters to the press. And I don't believe that she got the proper mental health treatment while she was locked away for all those years. Maybe this is just wake-up call. All right? You may not care if you're the victim of a crime, what happens to the person. But if they have a release date or a potential release date, wouldn't you want to try to rehabilitate the person? Just a little food for thought. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I just wanted to comment on how I felt about her death. And this is just sad. And I feel sorry. I feel more sorry for her kids than I do for her. All right. So thanks for coming. I'll see everyone next time. All right.